Did you know that over 3 million Australians are now living below the poverty line? And that number is growing every single day. Even people with full-time jobs are struggling to keep their heads above water. Rent is rising faster than pay. Grocery bills are hitting all-time highs. And for many, a simple visit to the doctor now comes with a painful price tag. So here's the question nobody wants to ask. Is Australia, one of the world's richest countries, silently creating a generation of working poor? It's not just about being bad with money or not trying hard enough. In fact, some of the reasons why Aussies are getting poorer are completely out of their control, baked into the system and hiding in plain sight. You might think you're doing everything right, working hard, paying taxes, cutting back. But if you've noticed that your savings are shrinking, your rent keeps going up. And no matter how much you budget, it's never enough. You're not alone. This video breaks down the 10 most shocking reasons why millions of Australians are quietly losing wealth every single day, and what you can do to protect yourself before it's too late. Some of these reasons may surprise you, others may scare you, but all of them will open your eyes. So stay with us till the end, because this isn't just about money, it's about your future. Number 1. Stagnant wages versus soaring living costs. Let's start with one of the biggest and most frustrating truths. Wages in Australia have barely moved in years, while the cost of almost everything else has skyrocketed. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, real wage growth, that's how much your income increases after inflation, has been close to zero or even negative for much of the last decade. That means you're technically earning the same or less than you were years ago, even if your paycheck looks the same on paper. Now compare that to the cost of living. Groceries have gone up over 9% in just the past year. Energy bills are through the roof, and rents in major cities like Sydney and Melbourne have jumped by as much as 30% in some suburbs. So what does this look like in real life? It means more Aussies are having to choose between eating fresh food or paying the electricity bill. It means parents are skipping meals so their kids can have enough. And it means young people are staying in share houses well into their 30s, not because they want to, but because they have to. And here's the kicker. Even people with stable jobs are falling behind. It's not laziness, it's math. If your expenses rise every year but your income doesn't, you're getting poorer, day by day, dollar by dollar. So what can you do? Start by tracking your spending monthly. Know where your money's going, use apps to compare prices, negotiate bills, and look for inflation-proof side hustles. Because while you may not control national wage policies, you can control how prepared you are for what's coming next. Number 2. The housing crisis. For generations, owning a home was considered the great Australian dream. But today, for millions, it's starting to look more like a financial nightmare. The reality? House prices have surged over 400% in the last 3 decades, while average wages have only doubled. In places like Sydney, the median house price is now over $1 million, making home ownership feel completely out of reach for many young Australians. But it's not just those trying to buy. Renters are also feeling the squeeze. In just 1 year, average rent prices have jumped 10 to 30%, depending on the city. And because there's a rental shortage, tenants are being forced to compete, offering more than the asking price or accepting poor conditions, just to have a roof over their heads. And here's where it gets worse. Those who do manage to buy often stretch their finances thin just to afford a deposit. They lock themselves into massive 30-year mortgages and are now being hit with rising interest rates, causing their monthly repayments to spike unexpectedly. So whether you're renting or buying, the result is the same. You're paying more for less and falling further behind. This housing crisis doesn't just hurt your wallet. It delays life milestones like marriage, kids, and retirement. It increases stress, reduces savings, and limits job mobility. What can you do? Start exploring alternatives, co-ownership, rent vesting, or even regional relocation. And if you're already renting, know your rights, and don't be afraid to negotiate or switch providers. Because in this market, staying informed isn't just smart, it's survival. Number 3. Rising interest rates. The silent wallet killer. Let's talk about a financial force that's hitting Aussie households like a wrecking ball, and most people never saw it coming: rising interest rates. Over the past couple of years, the Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, has aggressively increased interest rates in a bid to control inflation. While that might sound like good economic strategy, for everyday Australians it's a financial disaster in slow motion. If you've got a mortgage, you've likely seen your repayments jump by hundreds, even thousands of dollars per month. That's not a small change. For many families, it means having to cut back on essentials just to keep the roof over their heads. And it doesn't stop with home loans. Credit card debt? More expensive. Car loans? More expensive. Even buy now, pay later schemes? Yep, those too are tied to interest rate trends. The worst part? These changes happen quietly. There's no loud announcement, no emergency siren, just a slow and steady squeeze on your wallet until you start wondering where all your money went. For renters, the pain is indirect but still real. Landlords often pass on their rising mortgage costs by hiking up the rent. So what can you do? If you have a loan, check if you're on a variable or fixed interest rate. Consider refinancing or renegotiating with your lender. If you're juggling multiple debts, prioritize paying down high-interest ones first. And if you're thinking about borrowing, now's the time to be extra cautious. Make sure you plan for rate hikes, not just today's figures. Because in this economy, a few percentage points can be the difference between staying afloat or drowning in debt. Number 4, underemployment and the gig economy trap. Everyone's talking about having a job, but what if having a job isn't enough anymore? That's the reality for millions of Australians stuck in underemployment, working part-time or casual jobs when they really need full-time hours just to make ends meet. On paper, unemployment may look low, but behind the numbers lies a hidden crisis. People working hard, but still going broke. Add to that the rise of the gig economy, Uber drivers, food delivery riders, freelancers, and things start to look even more unstable. These jobs promise flexibility and freedom, but in reality, they often come with zero job security, no sick pay, no superannuation, and no stable income. You might be earning today, but what about next week? Next month? There's no safety net, just constant financial uncertainty. And here's the kicker. Many Aussies in gig work don't realise how little they're making after fuel, insurance, tax, and platform fees are taken out. What looks like $30 an hour might actually be less than minimum wage. So why do people accept it? Because they feel they have no choice. So, what's the solution? If you're stuck in casual work, start building toward income stability. That might mean upskilling through short online courses, diversifying your income streams, or starting a micro business on the side. And if you're in the gig economy, track every expense and calculate your real hourly rate. Knowledge is power, because in today's economy, it's not just about having a job, it's about having the right kind of job. Number 5, lack of financial literacy. Here's a hard truth. Most Australians were never taught how money really works. We learn maths in school, sure, but how many of us were taught how to budget, invest, avoid debt traps, or plan for retirement? The answer, not nearly enough. In fact, a national survey by ASIC revealed that nearly 50% of Australians say they feel overwhelmed by financial decisions. Many don't know the difference between good debt and bad debt, or how compound interest can work for you or against you. And that lack of knowledge, it's costing people thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Here's how it happens. People rack up credit card debt without understanding how interest snowballs. They invest in get-rich-quick schemes or cryptocurrency without proper research. They spend their entire paychecks without saving and get blindsided by emergencies. They miss out on tax deductions, super contributions, and government benefits, simply because no one ever told them. Financial literacy isn't just for the wealthy, it's a survival skill. Without it, Aussies are easy prey for predatory lenders, shady apps, and impulsive consumer culture. So what can you do? Start small. Follow trusted financial educators online. Use budgeting tools like You Need a Budget, YNAB, or MoneySmart. Learn about compound interest, emergency funds, and the basics of investing. And remember, every bit of financial knowledge you gain puts you one step closer to freedom, not fear. Because the less you know about money, the more likely it is to control you. We put our heart into every second of these videos, so if this helped you understand what's really going on, drop us a comment and share your perspective. And hey, support what we do by subscribing. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. Number 6. Corporate greed and price gouging. Imagine this. While everyday Aussies are tightening their belts, some of the biggest corporations in the country are posting record-breaking profits. How is that possible? The answer lies in a harsh reality. Corporate greed is alive and well, and it's one of the silent drivers behind why so many Australians are getting poorer every day. During economic downturns, we expect everyone to take a hit, but instead major supermarket chains, energy companies and property giants have continued to increase prices well beyond inflation, not because they need to, but because they can. This practice is called price gouging, when companies hike prices on essential goods and services, even when their costs haven't gone up nearly as much. Groceries, fuel, rent, electricity, all are affected. And while these corporations reward their shareholders and executives with massive bonuses, it's everyday families who are footing the bill. This doesn't just impact your weekly shopping trip, it causes a ripple effect. Less money left over for savings or emergencies, higher cost of living pressures, a growing sense of financial helplessness. And because these companies dominate the market, there's often no real alternative. You either pay the price or go without. So, what can you do? Start by being a smart consumer. Use apps to compare prices. Shop at local markets. Switch to ethical providers where possible. And support small businesses that value people over profit. Also, make your voice heard, whether it's through petitions, online reviews, or supporting policy changes for better corporate accountability. Because at the end of the day, your dollars are powerful. Spend them wisely and starve the greed. Number 7. Insecure superannuation futures. Most Australians assume that superannuation will take care of them in retirement. But here's the scary truth. For millions, that nest egg is nowhere near enough, and the gap is growing. Right now, the average superannuation balance for Aussies approaching retirement is far below what's needed for a comfortable life. According to recent studies, many retirees will need at least $500,000 to $700,000 to maintain a modest standard of living. Yet a large portion of people have less than half of that saved, and it's not always their fault. With casual jobs, gig work, and career breaks, especially for women and carers, many Australians miss out on consistent super contributions. Others are dipping into their super early, particularly during financial crises like COVID, which shrinks long-term growth potential. Add in high fees, poor fund performance and lack of engagement with super accounts, and what should be a safety net turns into a financial time bomb. The result? A future generation of elderly Australians who will be forced to work well into their 70s, rely solely on government pensions, or struggle with poverty in retirement. So, what can you do? Check your super balance regularly. Don't ignore it. Consolidate multiple accounts to avoid unnecessary fees. Choose a high-performing, low-fee fund, ideally one with ethical investing options. And if possible, make voluntary contributions. Even small amounts can grow significantly thanks to compound interest over time. Because the earlier you act, the more secure your future becomes. Super isn't just a retirement account, it's your freedom fund. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Number 8. Education costs and student debt. In Australia, we often hear that education is the key to success, but for many, that key now comes with a hefty price tag and a lifetime of debt. Over the past decade, the cost of higher education has skyrocketed. University fees for certain degrees have more than doubled, especially in fields like humanities, law, and business. And while student loans under the HECS Help system are interest-free in name, they are indexed to inflation, meaning your debt grows every year. In fact, due to recent spikes in inflation, millions of Aussies saw their student debt increase by over 7% in a single year, even if they made repayments. That's not just frustrating, it's financially crippling. Worse still, many graduates are struggling to find stable, well-paying jobs in their chosen fields. They're entering the workforce with tens of thousands in debt, only to land in underpaid roles or casual work. That debt hangs over their heads for years, even decades, delaying major life milestones like buying a home, starting a family, or saving for retirement. And let's not forget the trade-off. While students pay more, government funding to universities has decreased, leading to larger class sizes and fewer resources. So you're paying more for less. So, what can you do? Before committing to a degree, research its true return on investment. Explore alternatives like TAFE, apprenticeships, or online certifications that lead to in-demand careers with lower upfront costs. And if you already have a student loan, stay informed. Make voluntary payments when possible, especially before the annual indexation kicks in, because education should be a launchpad, not a financial anchor. Number 9. Rising cost of health and childcare. It's often said that health is wealth, but in today's Australia, staying healthy and raising a family can come with a shocking financial cost. Let's start with healthcare. While Australia has a public system through Medicare, it doesn't cover everything, and more Aussies are now facing out-of-pocket expenses that eat into their savings. Specialist appointments, dental care, mental health services, and even basic GP visits are becoming more expensive, with many clinics ditching bulk billing entirely. The result? More people are putting off medical care because they simply can't afford it, a decision that often leads to worse health outcomes and higher costs down the line. Then there's childcare, a necessity for working parents, but one that's quickly becoming unaffordable. For many families, childcare costs can rival a second mortgage, with fees averaging over $100 to $150 per day per child in some areas. This pushes parents, especially women, to cut back on work or leave the workforce entirely, not because they want to, but because working ends up costing more than staying home. So while people are trying to be responsible, looking after their health and supporting their families, they're getting punished financially for doing so. What can you do? Check your eligibility for childcare subsidies and Medicare rebates. Use community or council-run childcare services, which are often more affordable. Prioritise preventive health care, like regular checkups, to avoid larger costs later. Look for bulk billing GPs and specialists, and compare private health insurance plans carefully, because in a system where the basics are no longer affordable, smart planning is your best defence. Number 10. A culture of buy now, pay later. It's never been easier to buy things you can't afford, and that's exactly the problem. Services like Afterpay, Zip, Klarna, and other buy now, pay later (BNPL) platforms have exploded in popularity across Australia. They promise convenience, flexibility, and no interest, making it feel like a smarter way to shop. But behind the smooth marketing lies a growing financial trap that's pushing more Australians into silent debt. Here's the catch. While there may be no interest, there are plenty of fees, late fees, account fees, and repayment penalties. And because BNPL platforms aren't regulated like credit cards, users often overcommit, juggling multiple accounts without realising how fast it adds up. According to ASIC, over 20% of BNPL users end up missing payments, and many are forced to cut back on essentials, like food or rent, just to stay afloat. This isn't just impulse shopping gone wrong. It's a modern debt cycle, disguised as convenience. And the worst part? It's becoming normalised, especially among young people who are still learning how to manage money. BNPL is marketed as cool, stress-free, and better than credit, when in reality, it's just another form of financial control. So what can you do? Treat BNPL like credit, because that's what it is. Use it only for planned, essential purchases, never for wants. Set reminders to avoid late fees. And if you're using multiple services, consolidate and pay them off as soon as possible. Better yet, start building a small emergency fund so you're not relying on debt at all. Because if you're always paying for the past, you'll never get ahead in the future. Australia's inflation crisis isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about real people facing real struggles every day. From grocery runs that now break the budget to skyrocketing rent and rising energy bills, millions of Australians are being squeezed from every direction. And as we've seen, it's not caused by one simple issue. It's the result of a complex web of global shocks, policy decisions, corporate behaviour, and environmental factors. But here's the key takeaway. Inflation doesn't hit everyone equally, but it affects us all. And the more we understand the hidden forces behind it, the better equipped we are to respond, adapt, and protect ourselves and our families. This crisis won't disappear overnight, but knowledge is power. By staying informed and making smart decisions, we can all start to reclaim some control over our financial futures. And remember, this video is just the beginning. We'll continue breaking down the tough topics and uncovering what's really going on behind the headlines. So if this helped you see things more clearly, don't forget to subscribe. It's a small action that helps us bring you big answers. While the inflation storm might feel relentless, there are practical steps you can take to navigate through it and even come out stronger. 1. Track every dollar. Start by knowing exactly where your money goes. Use budgeting tools like Pocketbook, Money Brilliant, or even a simple spreadsheet. Awareness is your first defense. It helps you identify waste, trim non-essentials, and prioritize spending. 2. Look for discounts, loyalty programs, and bulk deals. Plan meals around weekly supermarket specials using apps like Half Price or Frugal. Small changes in your grocery strategy can lead to major savings over time. 3. Attack debt strategically. Inflation is hard, but it gets worse with high-interest debt. Pay off credit cards aggressively, starting with the highest interest balances. Consider consolidating into a lower-interest personal loan to ease monthly pressures. 4. Renegotiate bills. Don't be afraid to call your utility, internet, or insurance providers and ask for a better rate. Loyalty doesn't always pay, but negotiation often does. Build a safety buffer. Try to stash away even a small emergency fund. $500 to $1,000 can make a huge difference when surprise expenses hit. Automate it if possible. 6. Stay informed. Economic shifts happen fast. Follow trusted financial channels, podcasts, and newsletters. The more you know, the faster you can pivot when things change. You don't have to face inflation helplessly. With smart strategies and a bit of planning, you can weather this storm and even build resilience for the future. Before you go, we'd love to hear your story. How has inflation changed your everyday life? Drop it in the comments. Your voice truly matters here. If this opened your eyes, don't miss our previous video. It dives even deeper into the economic truths most people overlook. We pour countless hours into crafting these videos for you, so if you got value today, please consider supporting us. Just one click to subscribe makes a massive difference.